Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order for Tuesday, August 27th, 2013. The first item is the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. There are no citizens to be heard. We will pay the bills this time.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bills are paid. Brian, can we call on you for the budget update, please?
Morning, Mr. Chair and board's members. We're rearing and ready to go. It's like a horse waiting at the gate. Just get out of here soon enough, huh?
And all our wives think we're having a good time.
That's right. That's right. You are having a good time. Well, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission, there hasn't been a lot of adjustments to the budget since last week, actually. You all know the honest truth. Everybody has kind of taken a little bit of sigh of relief, and not to say that we shouldn't keep looking and working on it, but I think that the last month has been pretty busy in regards to it, so we've had time to switch directions a little bit for a little breather on some other topics. Since last Tuesday, the adjustments that have been made, and you made one of them last week, was to the library, and that was an additional $13,063. Health insurance, we got the final figures on that, and that was $222,174. So that's a $22,174 adjustment. So that's
Increase?
an increase.
Over and above what we had. Scheduled
Yes,
for. Thank you.
we had budgeted 200,000, and this will be 22,000 more. And if you want a reference point, remember, about every $25,000 you add to the budget is about a tenth. In other words, I know the example was like in the area of 3.5. Well, about every 25,000 up or down will add or subtract about a 0.10 to that percentage. That's just a kind of a very close rule of thumb. And I know Vicki's been working on scheduling a meeting with the new correctional facility, and I don't know if that's been totally established yet. I'm seeing a head shake no, but we're working on some dates on that. And I know we wanted to talk about that position with that committee, the position in corrections, because of the added bed space and things. So that was the discussion point. I still believe, okay. So we're still going to have that discussion, and we're scheduling that meeting. The levy limits, Lori did, or I shouldn't say Lori did, AMC sent out just last evening the levy limit information. I have not had time to talk to Lori about that to see exactly where we were. After this meeting today, I expect to meet with her in regards to having a definite on the levy limit issues, so we can square that away. I'd been telling you September 1st, and that was the deadline that Department of Revenue had set for that. And our full intentions are to bring a resolution to you folks next Tuesday, which is September 3rd, because Commissioner Everett will be gone the 10th, and of course the 10th is the last meeting prior to September 15th, when we have to set the maximum levy by resolution. So we were going to bring it next week for at least setting the maximum levy, and that's the intent, unless you folks, decide differently. So that's kind of it for the update. We will have the exact figure on the levy limits. We should know where we're at. If you have comments, changes, input for me to look at and want me to do some work on something else, if you want to discuss that today at this time, that would be great. We'll certainly run down some information. Whatever you need. I guess it's...
I was at Lakeland meeting yesterday, and they get a 15% increase for their health
hospitalization
from Lakes Country. And I'm curious how they do this. I mean, the pooling is supposed to help, and yet you have such variation still from company to company or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Well, what we've been told, Mr. Chair, in our health meetings and our insurance meetings, is that that's not an exact science. They do look at your own, I want to say department, but your own area of usage, and then they try to minimize that. You know, theirs may have been 25 or 35%
So
usage.
it was lowered by the pool.
And it's lowered by the pool. And the same with you have a low usage, you may pay a little more because of you're in an insurance pool. So there's a factor, there's a formula in there, so,
I
yeah.
think if I may, the libraries was, Lake Agassiz was 19,
19?
I believe.
Is that right?
I could be wrong, but I think that's the figure I recall.
I see that I see the Moorhead Public Schools have decided to leave that group and start their own.
Oh.
Yes.
Going to self-insure.
We're going to self-insure. I just saw that in the news last week, so.
Also, we heard at that meeting that Prime West is considering, they're not ready for it this year, but they're considering offering insurance as well to counties and other organizations, so.
Well, you know, I guess at times, and of course this would have to be a long discussion of insurance and different things, but you know, when you talk about companies self-insuring, you know, I've often thought that the size we are, that if we had just a major medical and then did self-insure for the first 5,000 or 10,000 of each claim, to see where that would come in, it would be kind of fun to play around with that sometime and see if we could do a better job with some major medical stuff and that the county self-insure
We
for
were
the first.
reinsured with the big stuff.
Reinsure with the big stuff,
Remember
yeah.
one time when I was negotiating for the teachers, the insurance company said the largest drain on a group are premature babies.
Oh, yeah, million-dollar
Big
babies.
time, beyond anything else.
Yeah.
And if you have a group, 5 or 6 of those, I mean, in the millions.
Yep,
Kevin,
right.
you were going to comment.
Yeah, back to the budget.
Yeah.
Brian, on the levy sheet that was presented to us last week,
Yep.
just a question down where we're reducing the net levy by the 1% for new construction. Is that really going to be accurate now with the abatement thing that we started? Because a lot of that new construction dollars, you know, if they met those requirements, that money was given back to them. So I question whether or not we're being accurate with that 1% there. I know it's not it was supposed to be more of a wash to us, but it would also then wipe out our ability to use that as a way to reduce from, for example, the 3.38 to 2.38.
Right.
So I'm a little leery of us having that 1% in there if we're paying a lot of that back to the first-time home builders or whatever that are out there.
Very good question. We'll check that out.
Okay.
I just wanted to comment about that, though. Wouldn't that take effect for 14 rather than?
Well, I thought we back,
for the next year.
but I thought that we backdated that thing to
September 1st
September 1st, so
of 2013.
of 2013.
Yeah, but this figure here is based on new construction this year. Now, those taxes wouldn't be paid until
Yeah, but that's
following.
Yeah, but that's also when we would have to pay those people from September 1st on back. So I think we need to just check it. I'm not positive of the timing of it, but I know that it can certainly be an issue that, you know, we just might not be able to use that new construction as much as for reducing the levy.
That's right, yeah.
You know, because of the abatement thing.
Yeah.
So,
That's what was flashing through my mind, too, when you were talking about the timing of it. We'll just have to look at it, and then look at the commercial growth.
And John might be right, too.
versus
John,
the
it might be
residential.
that might not be a big deal until 15, but I think it's going to be
Yeah,
partial in
It's going to be
14.
part of 14, because we started in, I said 13, but it was 12, September 1st of 2012. is
Yes,
when we made it
yeah, we
effective.
backdated it.
So that would.
Oh, yeah,
So
okay, I was
anything
thinking-
that went into effect then would have been
Yeah, so it would have been all of
Accessible.
13, all new construction in 13.
Yeah, payable 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure we're going to be able to use this like we did in the past.
Yep.
Good point, yes.
Yep.
And then the other thing too, if you're going to be, if your suggestion is, or proposal is for us to vote on the preliminary next week, and I know it's preliminary and we can always adjust down or it can't go up.
Right.
But, well, and maybe that's fine. I don't know that I'd have a problem with this now, but I still want to see where we are current year.
Absolutely. Yep.
And we can always deal with that between September and December.
Yep.
Yep.
However,
I've yet to see where we've set a preliminary levy that's changed.
Yeah, I know.
So that's kind of scary.
It's always the first time.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you said that, Commissioner Whalen.
Brian, anything else on the budget at this time?
I have nothing further, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
This time we will go to committee reports. Chief?
I had nothing last week.
Kevin?
No, I don't know if I have anything. Well, can you go to somebody else for a minute?
Frank?
Well, last Monday, I guess I forgot to report, Randy Nelson had a tour of University of Minnesota. He was out at the hydronium plots at Dilworth. He had about 50 people there, good attendance out there. Wednesday, we went to Hawley, had Hawley Township, Eglin Township, and City of Hawley. They're trying to, had a dispute on, not a dispute, just trying to arrange who's going to take care of the rodeo drive, and they had a good settlement there, so. Thursday, family health care, just a routine meeting there. Last night I went to Buellin, Exit Recreation Trails. There's a couple of situations coming up. One deal, car hit one of the bridges on the trails, and there's going to be that bridge has to be repaired. And another place where the trail, one of the farmers went out and just completely ripped out the trail, and so it's going to be another problem going on there. So we may get involved in a criminal case, not criminal case, I mean a court case there. So I don't know. I talked a little bit to Brian this morning, and what our involvement is, whether each county attorney gets involved in that or how that's going to be handled. But I'll find out more about that.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to report.
John?
Yeah, I had several meetings last week. First on Tuesday, we had that diversion meeting in Comstock area, and it was very well attended. Turned out, I think, to be a very good meeting. There were people initially coming into the meeting that refused to sign the set up a one-on-one appointment because their lawyers in that law case had indicated they shouldn't be talking to anybody about it. But by the end of the meeting, there were 3 pages of appointments that they had set up. So I think that people, learned something from the meeting and were willing to at least find out how it affected them personally. So that was positive, I think. Good presentations by the people there, staff people from Moorhead, Cass County, Fargo. It was there was a lot of resource people there, as well as the various contractors and engineers and so on. So people certainly felt better about at least being informed now as to what's going to happen. Still a lot of unanswered questions, of course, and people don't, they still would like more answers. But then the next day I had a historical board meeting at the MCOMST, and we were supposed to get a tour on go for a ride on the Ruby that day after our meeting, but the red light came on the engine, so they decided they couldn't take the Ruby out. So we missed that, but we were going to reschedule
That's
next
not a
time.
good deal.
It was a good meeting, however, and we're progressing on the major new Red River exhibit, which I think will be well received by everybody. On Thursday was Lakes and Prairies Community Action in Felton, and reviewed again some of the cuts that have to be made with especially Head Start, and but also talked about some new possibilities, new funding possibilities, and new things that may happen that we've talked about in early stages of talking about how we might partner with the West Central Community Action out of Elbow Lake, and that's an interesting discussion about possibilities. Certainly looked at all the different kinds of relationships that might be helpful, up and to including merger, but we got a long ways to go to make that happen. Then I was fully engaged with Potato Days on Friday and Saturday, and then yesterday was a Lakeland Board meeting in Fergus Falls, and we had, besides the regular meeting, we had strategic planning for the next 4-year period, and that organization is doing very, very well. So it's a fun meeting to be involved in, because finances there seem to be holding their own and doing well. So that was a positive meeting. So that was it.
Okay. On Tuesday, August 20th, Lake Local Advisory Council of Adult Mental Health. General business, agency, and organization reports. Then we had a presentation by Moorehead Police Department Officer Joel Watson on scams that are going on around town, and he did an excellent job, and it was quite enlightening. On Thursday, August 22nd, I had Lakes and Prairies, and John has already covered that. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Gross has already covered the Wednesday night meeting that we attended out at Holly, and yes, it went really well. Some shots across the bow, and then they got down to business, and the township was very progressive in presenting a hopeful resolution. So it went really well. Dave and I did meet with Andrew last week, I think it was Thursday, to talk about workload and different strategies there from a management style to maybe alleviate some of the workload or to spread out some of the workload. And I think we have some good ideas there in regards to responding to that. It was yesterday we met in regards to strategizing a little bit for the diversion session on meeting with some of the federal legislators on the Minnesota side. So we met in regards to that, and that's coming up very soon. And had some personnel evaluations again. Of course, they're ongoing with as many departments as we have. So, Mr. Chair, that was, and doing some budget work to finish up some of those things. So that's about it.
Gentlemen, anything else for the good of the order? Frank?
How are we doing that bell that's supposed to be moved in there?
Yeah, that's moving right along too. In fact, it should be here very soon. I met with Mark Sloan, who really takes an active interest in those kinds of things, and he's working on that. So between he and Vicki, there will be a decision made pretty soon on it. So, can't get much done here without her deciding where it's going to be placed.
I see, okay.
And you're?
Wasn't aware of that. Well, you should be.
That's right.
I'm ready.
If it needs your approval, we'll be adjourned.